Dear students, hope you are great. Today we're going to take Unit 1, Lesson 3, Circulatory System. Circulatory and Respiratory Systems. What is a circulatory system? What's meant by circulatory system? What is a circulatory system? Circulatory system include both cardiovascular system and lymphatic system. Both systems work together to move fluid around the body and protect it from disease. So both systems of cardiovascular system and lymphatic system work together to remove or move fluid and protect it from disease. This is cardiovascular system, includes the heart and blood vessels. Cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular system is your heart, blood and blood vessels. Look. So cardiovascular system includes the heart, this is heart, and blood that pass through blood vessels. This is blood vessels. So what's meant by blood? Blood is a fluid that carries gases like oxygen, nutrients, and remove the wastes from other body parts, from the tissue. So blood is a fluid that carries oxygen, nutrients, and wastes through the body. So remove waste from the body tissue. The cardiovascular system is a closed circulatory system. So what's the function of cardiovascular system? The function of cardiovascular system to transport gases like oxygen and nutrients and remove the waste from the body organs or tissues. It forms in a closed circulatory system. So cardiovascular system is closed circulatory system, closed like a cycle. Closed is a closed. So when the heart pump, the blood pass through the blood vessels like this and then return back to the heart. This called closed circulatory system, closed loop. The blood is carried in vessels that form a closed loop. So cardiovascular system is enclosed like a cycle, closed like a cycle. When the heart pump, the blood passes through the blood vessels to bring gases like oxygen and nutrients to the body tissues and remove the waste from the tissue. So when the heart pump, it moves like this, and then the blood return back to the heart. Look here. So here, when the heart pump, the blood move like this to the body tissues to transport gases like oxygen, nutrients, and remove the waste. So the blood that carry waste return back to the heart. So it's like a cycle called closed. Look. Again, when the heart pump, the blood move through the blood vessels to bring oxygen and nutrients to the tissue, these tissues, organs, tissue, and remove or take the wastes from these tissues and returns back to the lung and heart. Look. So it's like a cycle, closed cycle. So a cardiovascular system is a closed circulatory system. Lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is a group of organs and tissues that collect as a function of lymphatic system collects the fluid that leaks from the blood and returns it to the blood. Lymph is a leaked fluid, so the function of lymphatic system to collect the fluid that leaks or escape from the blood and returns it to the blood. So here, when the heart pumps, the blood passes through the blood vessels to bring oxygen and nutrients to the body tissues or organ tissue, and remove or take in the wastes from this tissue and return back to the heart or the bloodstream. Some of these fluids of this waste didn't get in the bloodstream, so the function of lymph to take this wastes from body tissues and return back to the blood vessels. So the function, the purple capillaries is lymph, the lymphatic system. So the function of the lymphatic system to collect this waste or this fluid that leaks from the blood and returns to the blood. The leaked fluid called lymph. So lymphatic system is an open loop system. Is an open, not closed. Is open loop system. It moves in one direction. From the tissues, take the fluid from the tissue and return back to the blood in one direction. Lymph can move in and out of the blood vessels. So, when the heart pumps, fluid leaks out through the thin blood vessels called capillaries. Look, when the heart pumps, so when the heart pumps, blood moves through the blood vessels or blood capillaries, the red color, to bring oxygen and gas and nutrients to the body tissue. This is tissues, and remove or take in the wastes from the body tissue. Some of these fluids or this waste didn't get inside or escape from get inside the bloodstream. So the function of this lymph to take this fluid and return it back to the take this fluid from the blood or this waste from the body tissue and return it back to the bloodstream. Most of this fluid is reabsorbed by the capillaries. So most of this fluid or waste that comes out from the tissue are reabsorbed by the capillaries, and the remaining fluid is collected by lymph capillaries. Lymph capillaries absorb the extra fluid or waste that contain particles such as this waste includes dead cells and pathogens like virus, bacteria, to return back to the blood vessels. Watch this video.
In a nutshell, the lymphatic system is a drainage system that removes excess fluid from body tissues and returns it to the bloodstream. It's actually a subsystem of both the circulatory and immune system. The major purpose of the circulatory system is to bring oxygen and nutrients to body tissues and remove wastes. This exchange happens in the smallest blood vessels called the capillaries. blood plasma containing nutrients moves out of capillaries at the arterial end of capillary beds, while tissue fluid containing wastes reabsorbs back in at the venous end. However, not all of the fluid is drawn back to the bloodstream at this point. About 15% of it is left in the tissues and would cause swelling if accumulated. This is where the lymphatic system comes into play. It picks up the excess fluid and returns it to the circulatory system. Unlike the blood circulatory system, which is a closed loop, the lymphatic system is a one-direction, open-ended network of vessels. Lymphatic vessels begin as lymphatic capillaries made of overlapping endothelial cells. The overlapping flaps function as a one-way valve. When fluid accumulates in the tissue, interstitial pressure increases, pushing the flaps inward, opening the gaps between cells, allowing fluid to flow in. As pressure inside the capillary increases, the endothelial cells are pressed outward, closing the gaps, thus preventing backflow. Unlike blood capillaries, the gaps in lymphatic capillaries are so large that they allow bacteria, immune cells such as macrophages, and other large particles to enter. This makes the lymphatic system a useful way for large particles to reach the bloodstream. It is used, for example, for dietary fat absorption in the intestine. Once inside lymphatic vessels, the recovered fluid is called lymph. Lymph flow is enabled by the same forces that facilitate blood flow in the veins. It goes from lymphatic capillaries to larger and larger lymphatic vessels and eventually drains into the bloodstream via the subclavian veins. On the way, it passes through a number of lymph nodes, which serve as filters, cleansing the fluid before it reaches the bloodstream. Lymph nodes are small bean-shaped structures scattered throughout the lymphatic network. They are most prominent in the areas where the vessels converge. Lymph nodes contain macrophages and dendritic cells that directly swallow up any pathogens, such as bacteria or viruses that may have been taken up from an infected tissue. They also contain lymphocytes, T cells and B cells, which are involved in adaptive immune response.
Lymph capillaries carry the fluid now called lymph, so the leaked fluid called lymph. The fluid that escaped from gets inside the bloodstream called lymph and pass through the lymph capillaries called lymph. Lymph is returned to the cardiovascular system or bloodstream when it drains into the blood vessels in the base of the neck. So the lymph pass through the lymph capillaries and return back to the bloodstream. In their pass, it moves through the blood vessels in the base of the neck. Lymphatic system is a place where white blood cells fight or attack this pathogen or viruses. Look here. Lymph pass through the blood vessels in the base of the neck. In their pass, there is white blood cells here that attack or fight the pathogen. Pathogen mean viruses or bacteria. So, lymph capillaries carry the fluid is called lymph. So, the leaked fluid called lymph. Through the lymphatic capillaries, in their pass, it moves in the bloodstream in the base of the neck. In this plate there is white blood cells. These white blood cells fight or attack the pathogen or viruses or bacteria. That's it. Thanks for watching.